Right, a few examples recapping solving equations. Example 1 is starting with brackets, so I've kind of jumped the basic solving equations, but this will become a basic one so you can see how to go from there anyway. So if you have brackets, the best thing to do is just expand them. Okay, get the brackets out of the way. So we'll expand the bracket on the left hand side, but we won't do anything to the right hand side. Okay, that's the first step. So 4 times 3x will give me 12x, and 4 times minus 2 will give me minus 8. Right, this is quite a normal calculation now, quite similar to what you, sorry, this is a 6, I don't know why I've done that. Similar to what we've done before. And remember, what we want to do is we want to get x equals a number. Alright, so whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side because we keep it balanced. Alright, so to get the x on its own, let's just think through what's going on. I've got 12 times x, then take away 8 equals 6. So I need to work in reverse. Instead of 12 times x take away 8, I need to add 8 to get rid of the take away 8. So let's add 8 to both sides, and we get 14 is equal to just 12x. Remember, the minus 8 and plus 8 cancel each other out. And then to undo a times by 12, because this is times by 12, we need to divide by 12, okay, on both sides. So x equals 14 divided by 12. Well, we've got ourselves a fraction, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's simplify it. Divide it both top and bottom by 2, which is 7 over 6. And then if I wanted to, I could write that as a mixed number, especially if they've asked me to. So that's 1 and 1/6. Okay. So remember, with solving equations, it's all about undoing and getting to one value of x. Right. So the second example, this is where we've got x's on both sides. So to solve this, we need to get all the x's onto one side, okay, and then all the numbers onto the other. All right. So we look at the x's, the amount of x's, whichever is the smaller amount, that's the one that we want to get rid of. And remember, whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. So the smaller amount here is 3x. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. Take away 3x from 5x, I get 2x. Don't worry about the 7 for now, we're not doing anything with that. These two lots of 3x will cancel each other out, and I'm just left with 2. So now I need the numbers onto the same side. So I've got a plus 7. I need to undo that, so I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So I'm left with the 2x on the left hand side, and 2 take away 7 is minus 5. Now I'm left with 2 lots of x. I only want 1 lot of x. So I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2. Okay? And I'm left with x equals minus 5 over 2. Nothing wrong with a negative number or a negative fraction. So this is the same as minus 2 and a half, or minus 2.5. It's up to you. I like to work with fractions, preferably. Okay, third example. Let's have a look at this. This is got a fraction in it. Now be really careful with the fractions, because sometimes you might get a fraction, let's say, that looks like x over 2 plus 1 equals 3. You might get an equation. So you've got this additional bit outside the fraction. Try and be really careful, because the first step I'd have to do in this one that I've just written down, the one that I've circled, I'd have to undo the plus 1, okay? But here, I don't have, in this example 3, I don't have anything on its own on the same side as the fraction. So you just need to be really careful, okay? So what I need to do is I've got 2 lots of x's going on. I can't just cancel them out. I can't just cross them out and then that be done with it. So what I need to do is I need to get rid of this denominator bit. I need to undo this. So if we read this through, I've got 2x plus 2 divided by 3x minus 1 equals 2. So I can undo this divide by 3x minus 1 by timesing both sides by 3x minus 1. Okay, that will undo this divide by 3x minus 1. So then all I'll be left with on the left-hand side will be 2x plus 2. But then on the right-hand side, I will have two lots of 3x minus 1. Then, now, I've got something where there's no fractions involved. I've got a bracket. I'll expand the bracket. I'll have x's on both sides. Well, I'll do exactly what I did with example 2. Okay, so this is a bit of a, I'm now at a stage where it's a combination of example 1 and 2 together. So let's expand the brackets first. We get 6x minus 2, and then we've got our 2x plus 2. The smaller amount of x is the 2x, so we've got 2 equals, taking off 2x, so 4x minus 2. I need to add 2, so let's just expand. I've expanded the brackets to get to this. Then I've minus 2x. Now I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get all the numbers onto one side of the equation. And now I'm going to divide by 4 because I've got 4 lots of x and I only want 1 lot of x. So if I divide by 4, I get x equals 1. And that is your solution. Right? It doesn't matter that the x is on the other side. Right, example 4, very different. The reason this is different, we've got an x squared term. Okay, this is what we call a quadratic. If you've got the opportunity, look up solving quadratics. Okay, because there's some nice easy ones, which is what we've got here, reasonably easy, but then they do get a bit harder. So the way we solve a quadratic, the reason we call this quadratic because it's got a squared term, is we must make the equation equal to 0. Okay, so but this equation x squared minus 5x is not equal to 0, it's equal to minus 6. So what I need to do is I need to undo this minus 6 so I've got 0 on this side. The way we do that is by adding 6 to both sides. Okay, so we get x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Right, now I can start doing something that we have seen in class. So what we need to do is we need to factorize this quadratic. Okay, so we're going to factorize. And the way we do that is we want to put it back into brackets. Now to get an x squared, I must be multiplying an x by an x. So what we've got is we've got two sets of brackets. We're not going to do anything to the right hand side, that will be equal to 0. And we must have an x and an x inside them. Okay? Because my x times x, when I expand this bracket and times it out, my x times x will get me x squared. But I also want to get a plus 6. So we need to think about the numbers that we multiply to make a plus 6. Okay? Now I like to write a little list. So we want a 6. Let's think about it. Well, 1 times 6 will get us 6, and 2 times 3. But the other thing we need to use is this minus 5 that's in front of the x. Now, whatever pair of numbers I choose, they must add up to make this number. So let's have a look. 1 plus 6 is 7, so it can't be 1 and 6. 2 plus 3 is 5, but it's not minus 5. So we need to consider some negative options, okay? So what two negative numbers will multiply to make 6? Well, that would be minus 1 and minus 6, minus 2 and minus 3. Now let's have a look at those two pairs. Well, minus 1 plus minus 6, well, that's minus 7. Minus 2 plus minus 3, well, that is minus 5, okay? So actually, the two numbers that go into our bracket are minus 2 and minus 3. So this becomes a minus 2 and a minus 3. Okay, that's all the hard work done. do need some solutions for x. I need to say what x could possibly be such that if I put it into this equation, it would get me minus 6. So what we say is actually these two brackets must multiply to make 0. But if they're multiplying to make 0, then one of these brackets must be equal to 0. Well, let's suppose x minus 2 equals 0. What must x be? Well, I just add 2 to both sides, x equals 2. Or, suppose x minus 3 equals 0. What do I add to, what does x need to be such that when you take away 3, or add 3 to both sides, we get x equals 2. And these are your two answers. A lot of the time you will get two answers when you have your quadratic bit. Not always, but a lot of the time. Right, there's a worksheet for you to do. If you get to 5 and 6, there's you get to the complicated stuff like example 4, okay? So do your best, have a go. If you get stuck, make sure you give me an email. All right, have a good day.